Hello, and you are listening to Nate's Notes, a podcast about sports and pop culture. I am one of your hosts, Nate Jones, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Griffin. How are you doing, Griffin?
I'm doing great. How are you doing coming back from your vacation?
I'm doing great. I feel kind of rested. I also started a new job, so that, I was rested, and then now I'm not rested, so I'm, exactly where I was, so... as I get used to it, I think I'll get better and I'll feel better, but it's still a lot of new things at once.
That transition period, probably very similar to the period that a lot of rookies are going through right now in the NFL training camps, trying to get transitioned into the NFL offenses that they'll be playing in this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's, especially when you go from it's kind of similar. So I'm just like an NFL player for all those counting track. They basically went from a college setting where it's very structured and you have to focus on school here and then you have football here. Now it's just all football all the time. And that's how I felt. I had school and I had work. Now I have work all the time. So it's
all the time. Yeah.
It's a big difference. It takes a little getting used to, but they get paid a lot more than I do. That is for sure.
That is a fact.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to Nate's Notes. We took a week off. Life gets in the way sometimes, but we're back. It's our fifth official week of recording episodes for you guys here. We hope you guys enjoy. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you want to give us a follow there. We post updates. We'll even ask for show suggestions sometimes as well. So if you want to give us some, make sure to follow us there. Most of our usernames are Notes Nates, so make sure you follow us there. All right, so we're going to start this week's episode on kind of a somber note. It's not going to be as happy as usual, but I think it has a happy kind of side to it. It's not the happiest story in the world, but there is some positives when we reach the end of the story. So last week, it was almost 2 weeks ago now.
July 1st.
July 1st, yep. A little over 2 weeks. Tyler Skaggs, pitcher for the Anaheim Angels, passed away suddenly at the age of 26, I believe. 27.
Yeah.
Just devastating. No one saw it coming. Do you know, Griffin, if the cause of death has been revealed yet?
I actually haven't seen one. I haven't necessarily been looking for one. Obviously, just super unexpected and super sad at the age of 27 and only, a couple weeks before his 28th birthday. I haven't seen anything that would, hint at what caused his death. But
yeah,
I would be curious to see, but I don't necessarily need to know.
Yeah, it looks like suicide and foul play were ruled out pretty quickly once they found him. But he was found in his hotel room before a game against the Texas Rangers. That game ended up being canceled, and it kind of sent a shockwave throughout Major League Baseball and kind of the whole sports community. It seems like the Angels, they've had not long history, but it seems like they get struck by tragedy almost as much as any other team in sports.
Yeah, this was definitely an event that kind of struck the memory of Nick Adenhart, a pitcher for the Anaheim Angels back in 2000s that also passed away from a car. It was either a car accident or a boat accident.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily remember.
It was a car accident, I believe.
Car accident.
Yeah.
Just super young and super good kid, both of them, and really had a lot of talent. So it was kind of eerie how similar the two events were, and obviously unfortunate that they both happened to the Angels organization. So a lot of the organizations, just feels like, why is this happening to us? Why is this happening at all?
Yeah.
So it's just super sad.
No, it's devastating. And it's unexpected and young, and both young up-and-coming pitchers, like you said, it feels a little too similar to Nick's story. And so It devastated the Angels, of course, and the entire Major League Baseball community. And I think what we kind of want to pull mostly from this story is, yes, this is a sad story, but when people ask about what the importance of sports are, what do they really bring to society? And I think this recent story that was brought by Tyler Skaggs' death is one of the reasons why sports can be so important to society, how they can bring us together, and how they can really help through the grieving process. So the Angels, they decided to wear on his 28th birthday. Is that correct, Griffin?
So they decided to honor Skaggs on July 12th.
Okay.
And coincidentally, his birthday was actually the following day,
okay.
July 13th.
Okay, yeah.
So it was...
Yep, so on July 12th, 11 days after Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs was found dead in his Texas hotel room before a game against the Rangers, his teammates played the first of 3-game home series against Seattle Mariners, and the Angels honored Skaggs in their first home game since death by wearing all of his number 45 jersey, and his mother even threw out the ceremony of first pitch. And so you want to talk about what ended up happening in that game?
She absolutely smoked that one down the middle.
Great pitch.
Perfect strike.
Might have been the best pitch of the game.
I mean, that was just setting the tone of the whole night, I think. And so, I think you were going to get into it, but the Angels ended up throwing a combined no-hitter that night on July 12th when they honored Skaggs, which just really felt like his presence there, like that's just... Yeah. It doesn't happen often. And I think it's more than just a coincidence that it happened that particular night. Like you said, it was a very emotional night, and to have that sort of success from a team effort, it wasn't just one person; it was a team effort. Kind of shows you the power of how you can use sport to emotionally cope, as well as celebrate like the Tyler Skaggs life in a way.
Yeah, 100%. These players, this is their brother, this is their friend, this is like family to a lot of them. And when it happens suddenly like that, it's so hard to continue and go on. And it's their job to play a baseball game. And so I think for them, the easiest thing for them to do is just go out and play baseball. And to do a performance like that on a night in which you're honoring him is just so special, and especially for Skaggs' family as well. It's going to, that's a memory they'll never forget, the night that
absolutely
the Angels threw a combined no-hitter on the night they're honoring their, son, friend, family member. Like, that is just so important. And even like Mike Trout's home run, it went 454 feet. Skaggs were the number 45. Like, there's just a lot of like coincidences and very special moments that, like you said earlier, it felt like Skaggs was there in the stadium supporting his brothers and teammates. And it seemed like there was not a dry eye in the stadium after the game as they all placed their 45 jerseys on the mound. Just a powerful moment. And it's, like I said earlier, it's one of the reasons why I think sports are important. They bring us together. You look at the World Cup and other sporting events, but moments like this hurt a large community, and they were all able to help cope with this loss by watching the game that Skaggs played so well.
Absolutely. Just such a special moment seeing them all at the end of the game put their jerseys on the mound and just kind of pause to just take in the moment. You mentioned Trout hitting the 454 feet homer.
Yeah.
There's like some other stats that were kind of just lined up, coincidentally or not coincidentally. So the Angels, obviously from throwing a no-hitter, they faced 28 batters less than 2 hours before what would have been Skaggs' 28th birthday.
Huh.
The Angels ended up scoring 7 runs in the first and finished the game with 13 runs. Skaggs' birthday is 7/13, July 13.
Incredible.
And then on the day Skaggs was born, I think it was 1991, I want to say.
Yeah.
is on that exact day, the Orioles versus the A's had another combined no-hitter that was thrown. It was like only the sixth one ever thrown.
Wow.
So just not a very – it's a very rare thing to happen, and for, for that to happen on the day he was born and then happen on the day that they're honoring him. Just a lot of like stats that just kind of coincidentally line up with Tyler Skaggs, and it just kind of, I feel like he encompassed that night, and it was a very special night.
Yeah, that's really incredible. It really touches you, and it helps through the grieving process. I don't think his teammates will ever forget him, or it helps them too, because they have that moment and they can, they did that for him. And you see this a lot. I believe Jose Fernandez, when he passed away a couple years ago, Didi Gordon hit a home run at the first game after his passing. Like, sports are powerful and they're a good coping mechanism, and it's incredible to see how these players just do these incredible things. And I think this Angels game is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I remember I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw the Mike Trout home run. It was during the game. I was like, wow, that's a really cool way to honor him. And then just, the articles and more things kept coming out at how many things connected to Tyler Skaggs that happened in that game. Absolutely incredible.
I agree, 100%.
All right, so we're not going to end baseball on this sad note here. It's touching what the Angels were able to do, but during our break, the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby also happened. So we'll talk about the Home Run Derby. Neither of us got a chance to really watch it, but boy, oh boy, was it a historic Home Run Derby for sure. So here are the top 5 home runs in a single round ever. So in number 5, Ronald Acuna Jr., and this was in the 2019 first round. He hit 25. Now, I don't know if you remember this, Griffin, but in 2008, I remember watching the Home Run Derby with Josh Hamilton. Yeah,
yep.
And I thought that was like an unbeatable number. He hit 28, and that was a different kind of rule setting there. They did outs instead of times, so he could hit as many as long as he wasn't hitting them on the ground. He only hit 28. Now, the next 3 are also are also from the 2019. So 4 of the top 5 single-round home runs are from this 2019 edition of the Home Run Derby. So in third is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays. He hit 29, one-upping Josh Hamilton back in 2008. In second, and now they also do face-offs now in today's Home Run Derby. Jock Peterson hit 39 in the second round of the 2019 Home Run Derby, and he was one-upped by number 3 as well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the first spot there with 40 home runs.
That's just incredible.
It's incredible. And for those of you who don't know, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did not win the Home Run Derby. He came in second to Pete Alonso of the New York Mets. And I want to also share just the totals, just to see the incredible night Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If you listened to our last episode, Griffin and I were a little critical of Major League Baseball and the product that they deliver and kind of just the demographic, how it's getting older. Well, the incredible thing is this was the best marketing that they could have ever asked for. All of these home runs, just an incredible night. Vladimir Guerrero,
from young players, too.
Yes, from the young, up-and-coming players. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., son of Vlad Guerrero, who won this Home Run Derby, but I believe in total, Vlad Guerrero that year only hit 17 home runs or something crazy like that. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. just destroyed his dad in every sense of the word, and he didn't even win the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, I'm looking at his total here. He hit 91 home runs in the totality of this competition, which I believe is already like third all-time or fourth all-time in a home run derby career. And So if he were to do this competition next year and hit 10 home runs, he'll have the most home runs in home run derby history, like depending on how his competitors play, of course. But that's just how insane of a number it is that home runs that he hit.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he didn't even win, like Pete Alonso of the New York Mets ended up winning the competition.
Yeah.
That's who we faced in the final. Vlad Jr. faced Pete Alonso in the final. I believe Pete Alonso ended up having to hit 3 home runs in a row when his time ran out or something like that.
Yeah.
And to end up winning. So it was still close and entertaining, but
yeah, just for comparison, Griffin mentioned earlier 91 total home runs for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Pete Alonso only hit 57 total. And that put Pete Alonso 4th all time for most home runs in a home run derby. Jock Peterson in 3rd from this year was 60. He had 39 in just that one round against Vlad Guerrero Jr. And then Juan Carlos Stanton, Miami Marlins in 2016, had 61. He had the 2nd most all time. So Vlad Guerrero hit 30 more than number 2 for most single derby home runs, which it's so crazy. And like you said, he's tied for 2nd all time for most career home runs. You know, you look at David Ortiz, he competed in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2010, 2011. He has 77 in his career. It
leaves me speechless. Like, I just don't even know what to say. Like, are the rules that different that really favor the players nowadays? Yes, in a way, but still, I don't think it makes up for the amount of home runs that they're hitting more than the guys in the past. Meaning, like, even though the rules changed, they're still hitting more than they would be expected to, I think, based off of the rule change.
Yeah, I think so, 100%. I think even last year, there was guys who had 0 home runs in the round. Like, it is still hard to hit home run after home run after home run, no matter how much time you had. So you look at the guys like his dads, Vlad Guerrero and David Ortiz, they had more time. Even Josh Hamilton, they could have maybe hit more home runs. But, you know, the dude did beat everyone by 30 home runs total. Like, you just put him in any format, he's probably going to beat most people in home run totals. So, yeah, incredible. And he didn't even start the year in the major leagues. He was called up in June, I believe, early June.
Yeah, that sounds like it's right.
Yeah, like May, June.
I was just thinking, I remember seeing going into the competition, I want to say he had like 9 home runs going into the competition.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, relatively low compared to kind of the home run leaders right now. I think Yelich is in the lead with like 32.
Yeah. Yep.
As of like today or something. So, just, you know, relatively not a lot of home runs. Obviously, it's different hitting a home run in a game than it is when someone's throwing meatballs down the center of the plate for you.
Yeah.
But just incredible power.
Yeah. He put in an absolute show, and, you know, I was not near TV when it was happening, but just watching Twitter and everyone, it really helped. Like, Cleveland seemed to put on a great All-Star weekend. They had one of the highest attendance in the last several years for just the overall festivities. So it was great for baseball. It's always great when the players are able to show off, but it does seem like they keep tweaking the home run derby to get numbers like this. I think when they made the changes from going from outs to time, this was the biggest reason. They wanted a guy to try to hit 100 home runs in a night. Like, it's, you know, explainable. And you can say the same about the dunk competition. It hurts the players afterwards. I don't believe all of that. But, you know, I don't think my arms would feel good after hitting 91 home runs in a 2-3 hour period.
Probably not, but no. My arms would hurt after hitting 1 home run, I think, just because just probably wouldn't happen ever.
Oh yeah, my forearms would hurt after hitting a foul ball. So, I don't think a home run would do him any good.
So yeah, great for baseball. I think the actual All-Star game ended up in the American League's favor again.
Yep.
For the 7th year in a row.
Yeah.
4-3 is what I saw.
Yep. So you're right there. It seemed like a pretty close game. I was able to watch it intermittently. American League won 4-3. They had 8 hits while the National League had 5. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it doesn't really matter. I think, we talked a lot about how Major League Baseball might need to alter their All-Star game. I think maybe the biggest thing now is just have more events on that home run derby night. Because it's okay if the game is not the most exciting or isn't a huge, home run blast. These are very talented players who are good offensively and defensively. So you're not going to get the greatest show of offense ever, but maybe add like a bunting competition. I know in Japan they do that where you have to bunt
really?
a certain target. Just do fun, goofy things like that. I think I came up with an idea of like throwing some guy out or something, but just make it more fun for the players and the fans to get them more involved.
Yeah, we talked about that in our last kind of main episode, and kind of just relaying those messages of just try out some different skill challenges to show off MLB players' skills.
Yeah, and the couch analysts back at home on Twitter do like to say that baseball athletes aren't athletic, and so it'd be kind of interesting to show them how athletic they are. I think sports fans know how athletic they are and what it takes, and anyone who's ever played baseball knows it's not an easy sport. But I think even a foot race would be entertaining. do something like that. I think they can get creative with it, and maybe every ratings bring good ideas for everything. And so maybe the ratings were so good for this year's home run derby, they're going to capitalize on it by adding more and almost building it up. Like if you watch the NBA All-Star Weekend, they have like 5 things before the dunk contest to get people to stay on the broadcast for that long. And people do because they don't want to miss the dunk contest. So it's smart for them to do that as well. Anything else you want to add about the MLB All-Star Weekend?
No, I think it was a good break, and now we're ready for the second half of the season, and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, it's go time for these teams now. Now we're going to transition to the NFL and football. Hike, yeah, we're talking about football next here, and we haven't really talked about much about the NFL except for like bad things, I think, in like the first episode. But this is going to be mostly good things here. So how are you feeling about the NFL, Griffin?
I was not expecting you to start out like that.
Yeah, it was a little different, trying to switch things up, keep the energy going.
Well, speaking of switching things up, I'm actually going to switch things up on you really fast.
Oh no!
Because I think it's mentionable. I think it's very noteworthy.
Okay.
Did you watch the gentlemen's Wimbledon final at all between Roger Federer and Djokovic?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I didn't get a chance to like sit down and watch it. And growing up, I was a huge Federer fan, but I did not get a chance to watch it. I watched a lot of like the highlights and replays, and Twitter did like a Twitter moment of it, and so they basically like did a chronological order of like tweets of like people watching it, and it was incredible. A lot of people compared it to the Nadal Federer 2008 final, and I remember watching that, and it is just so incredible to watch athletes compete at that level and for so long.
Yeah.
And it was almost 5 hours, right?
Yeah, I think it was 4 hours and 55 minutes, which ended up being like the longest
final.
Final, I think, in Wimbledon competition. I don't know if it's in every competition.
No, I think the longest is U.S. Open. I think they went 8 hours plus. Like they had to stop and then start again like the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember that as well. I think this is just Wimbledon
final.
Longest final.
Okay.
However, this was an incredible match. I think this was the first tennis match I've actually sat down and watched.
Okay.
I didn't just see like the end result on ESPN or something like that. I actually got the chance to watch it, and my God, did I pick a great first match to watch.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I'm also very, very high on Roger Federer. I think he's the GOAT of tennis.
Yep. 100%.
Djokovic just absolutely was outstanding as well, and they just went back and forth and exercised the new tiebreaker rule, which basically just means they, in the fifth set, I believe it's what it's called.
Yep.
Instead of them having to win by 2 matches, if they both reach 12 matches all, they just play a tiebreaker.
Yep.
And so they ended up going to that tiebreaker. That's why the match took so long, and it was just back and forth. Like it was so intense, and I honestly had no clue who was going to win. Both players had their opportunity, like being like 1 or 2 shots away from winning it all, and it ended up lasting another hour after that. It was just so exciting to watch.
Oh, yeah, it is. And, I watched a little bit of the Roger Federer and Nadal semifinal just a couple days before, and that was incredible. And what is so incredible to me about Federer is the game of tennis is not easy. Like it looks hard, it is hard, and especially at that level, it's 1,000 times what normal people would experience playing tennis. And it seems like his career just goes not even up and down. He goes up, he kind of plateaus a bit, and then he comes up. And no matter how old he gets, like all of a sudden he's just back on top, like where he should be. And it's incredible. You don't see that a lot with sports. You see like this kind of normal curve of they're building, prime. They'll go down a little bit, then they'll, one last hurrah, and then they'll just kind of disappear and not really be seen from when we think of elite athletes. But Federer's just like, all of a sudden he'll just win another major tennis tournament or win 2 in a year and defeat, the next up-and-comer, the one who's supposed to take his spot, especially
absolutely
those 3, Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. Incredible that those 3 have kind of been back and forth their entire careers, and Federer still finds a way to
take a final all the way to the very end.
Yes.
At 37 years old. Like, that's incredible.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's so much fun to watch too.
Yeah, it was just super entertaining, and I thought it was definitely noteworthy. Another noteworthy thing, just because I happened to watch it this weekend, was the British Grand Prix.
Okay.
Lewis Hamilton won his 5th British Grand Prix, becoming the all-time 5th or 6th. Now I'm confused between my tennis numbers and my Grand Prix numbers, but that was either his 5th or 6th British Grand Prix, making him the all-time leader of the British Grand Prix wins.
Okay.
So, another interesting headline this weekend. I think England also won the Cricket World Cup. So I don't know much about cricket, and I didn't watch that at all. But noteworthy.
Yeah, no, that's great. I don't know how people watch cricket. I'm not like, if there's any cricket enthusiasts, you can come on the show and explain cricket to me. But
I would love that.
Yeah, so if we have any cricket enthusiasts, cricket fans, cricket players that listen to this podcast, reach out to us. It'll be fun to learn about cricket because I sure know nothing about it.
The only thing I know is it can last like up to days, like one game or one match.
Okay.
Days, yeah. At least I think so.
Yeah, that's incredible.
All right, well, I kind of made that a long sidebar conversation, but we can get back to what we were planned on talking about. Yeah,
that was nice. It was a nice little curveball, and then boom, back in the mitt, we're talking about football. It was not the right, metaphor, analogy, or whatever for football because I made it a baseball one, but we're talking about football. We're going to talk about 3 players that we think are going to turn heads or think they have something to prove in this upcoming training camp. NFL training camp start next week, I believe, or later this week. Exciting times. Cuts happen periodically throughout training camp. It's almost every day throughout the week, and this is the first, I think, 100% mandatory team activity, and in which everyone can be involved. That's coaches, players, and then fans even get to come and watch these as well. So if you're in the Denver area, you can look up the Broncos training camp schedule, and they'll let you go to like the first 3 hours, and then they actually do real, plays and stuff afterwards. So they
right when no one's
yeah. So they're not posted on the internet for everyone. So do you want to go first with a player you think is going to turn some heads, or maybe has something to prove this upcoming training camp?
Sure. So I think when we talked briefly before starting our session tonight, it sounds like we went 2 different directions.
Yeah.
So I went with 3 rookies that are currently in training camp.
Okay.
But along the same lines that they have something to prove, or I think they will impress going into their training camp. So my first player is Nick Bosa, defensive end on the 49ers.
Okay.
I believe he was drafted 2nd overall in this draft. And so a lot of expectations coming from the 49ers when you're picking anybody at the number 2 position. He's obviously going to be a starter right away. He's going to be integrated into that defense. And I think he's going to live up to the hype. I think in college he was very explosive on the edge, and I just think he's going to fit really well into that 49ers defensive line.
Yeah.
And impress people with his athleticism in training camp and throughout the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it'll be interesting to see how this 49ers team is this year. And you've seen great defensive players turn around teams that were kind of struggling to find that right piece. And they also get their quarterback back this year, which certainly helps when
and the running back too, right?
Yeah.
Isn't McKinnon coming back?
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they could be a whole new team this year. So they're a team to watch out for.
I think they just re-signed Robbie Gould too, the kicker, who had a really good year for them.
Yeah.
In a year where kickers just seem to not have good years.
Yep.
They just re-signed one that had a great year for them. So that's also positive news.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. All right. So my first pick is a quarterback, and he's a quarterback for the Denver Broncos, and his name is Joe Flacco. And the reason why I think he has a lot to prove. Everyone knows he's a passable quarterback at least. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He's had some great seasons, but he was benched last year by a rookie and then eventually traded. And he had a giant contract, and now this is a contract year for him. And so I think he has a lot to prove. One, the Broncos have not had a successful quarterback since Peyton Manning. They keep bringing in these guys thinking, oh, he's going to be the one. They tried it 2 times with Trevor Siemian, tried it last year with Case Keenum. No one was able to bring them to a successful season. They all failed. No one is able to really get all the pieces together on offense. The past 3 years, the defense has been pretty solid. They haven't been perfect, but the offense has often struggled to get first downs. And so Joe Flacco, when he's heading into this training camp, I think he needs to, one, show that he's without a doubt the Broncos starter. Like, the first pass he makes in training camp needs to be a 1,000-yard bomb to Emmanuel Sanders for 3 touchdowns, at least. And then everyone will start to buy in. He does have a rookie quarterback working with him, kind of. He was quoted as saying he's not there to mentor. That's Drew Lock. And Bronco fans, they shouldn't be discouraged by saying he won't mentor the recently drafted quarterback. I think they should be excited because he's focusing on becoming the best Broncos starter he can instead of trying to mentor someone to steal his job later down the season when he's struggling. So I think it'll be an interesting season for Joe Flacco.
Did you just predict that Flacco's going to struggle by the end of the season?
I'm saying he's helping himself by not making sure another quarterback's better than him so that when he struggles, he doesn't get replaced. That's more what I'm saying. I am a Broncos fan, so I would love for him to do great. He's older, and I don't know if he's the right quarterback for this team. I kind of wanted a different, like almost running quarterback for the Broncos, and I've wanted it for the past couple years. I was pretty big on Baker Mayfield. I was also pretty high on Dak Prescott when he was getting drafted. So I just feel like all Broncos quarterbacks from Tim Tebow on. So Tim Tebow to me was the last original looking quarterback for the Broncos, for the good and the bad. All those in between, you could mush them in together, and really they'd be the same quarterback. They'd just be Peyton Manning, but all the other versions are just worse Peyton Mannings. Like they don't excite me. They can't move well. They have decent arms. So, yeah.
I think the main thing that I see in Joe Flacco as the new Broncos quarterback that kind of might hint that he might be more successful than the rest is he's got that veteran status. Like,
yeah,
he's since Peyton Manning, he's the oldest quarterback with experience to come into this Broncos team. So I think that'll help him and the team a lot, because the other guys just were brand new to the league, didn't really adapt well, and have kind of faded out since then and become backups or just not even in the league anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Flacco's got going for him.
Yep.
Is, he's proven he can do it. Yes, he kind of got pushed out at the Baltimore Ravens by I'm blanking on his name.
I know. I always forget his name too.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Yep. You got it.
Who is a mobile quarterback like he wanted.
100%.
So I think he'll just be average, in my opinion. I think won't be anything special, but his mechanics will be better than the quarterbacks you guys have had in recent years.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And maybe it's the leadership presence. I had the opportunity to work for an internship last year where I got to spend a lot of time at the Broncos training camp. And what I find interesting looking back at it now, the Broncos, the teammates, coaches, kind of had almost faking it till they make it sort of thing, because they really praise Case Keenum as the second coming, and he's the next Peyton Manning. He's a real leader. He's a true quarterback. But then afterwards, everyone's like, he wasn't a real leader. So that's what Joe Flacco has to prove: is one, he's a leader; two, that he's a good quarterback. Like it goes in that order, I think, for that team, and it's a pretty young offense too, when you consider all the pieces there. Second-year running back. A lot of the wide receiver pieces are pretty young, except for Emmanuel Sanders, and some young tight ends as well. So Joe Flacco has a lot to prove.
Yeah, and he has a good medium to prove it in.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
We'll see how he does.
Yeah.
So I'll just go ahead and transition into my second pick.
All right.
Since we're talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Coming into new teams, I've got Kyler Murray as my second player that I think will impress people, and I've actually read that he has been impressing his team in rookie camp so far.
Yeah.
I've got David Johnson said he looks like he's already ready to go. He's already conducting, leading the offense. He's moving around, scrambling. It's making it tough for the defense to definitely catch him. His arm is very good, very accurate. He can throw the deep ball pretty well. So already getting high praises from the running back, David Johnson, and then legend Larry Legend.
Yep.
Fitzgerald has also been talking about Murray and said he knows the system better than we do. He can get us into any play at any time, and then he has the ultimate weapon in the exit button, meaning he has the ability to scramble.
Yeah.
So when you're getting high praises from, the ultimate wide receiver, Larry Fitzgerald, and the comments he's making too, he knows the system better than we do. That rings out a lot to me. That this Kyler Murray has come into the Arizona Cardinals organization ready to prove he has what it takes to take them to the next level by completely indulging in their playbooks and their offense and learning every single bit of it, and so he can understand what parts are going to be more successful for him and what parts will not be as successful. Wow, I'm really stumbling on my words here. Just really shows me he cares about his craft, and so I think he's already proving himself in training camp. I think he's going to have a good season this season, and could potentially be a stellar fantasy football pickup.
Yeah, that's it. To me, what stands out about him is he kind of talked himself into the first pick of the draft. If you think about it, on a lot of draft boards for a very long time, he was not number one. And there was even a conversation at one point, I remember, on all the sports channels, he's not even a top 10 pick. And looking at where he is now, to me, is incredible. Just thinking about what he's been able to do to get himself and then proving that he belongs there. I think that's also the biggest thing is first picks don't always work out. And so he needs to prove that he belongs where he is. Like, the Cardinals did not make a mistake drafting him. And it looks like he's done his job so far. And hopefully he has a successful preseason and heading into the regular season, because the Cardinals have been looking pretty bad the last couple of seasons. So hopefully this is the quarterback to turn them around.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of expectations too to kind of take them to the playoffs, either this season or the next, I would say. And, they're in the same division as the Rams, who, looked like they were going to win the Super Bowl pretty easily at one point.
Yeah, they did.
So he's got a lot of expectations, but also a long journey to get there. And so it'll be super interesting to see how, like you said, how he does in preseason and then at the beginning of the regular season.
Yeah, that was a great second pick. I think a lot of eyes will be on him, and he has a lot to prove, especially people like to doubt his height as well. All right, so my number two, and all three of these are all veteran players. Griffin mentioned earlier how we kind of went different directions here with this one. My second one here is I might get some laughs, and I can hear you already laughing. But to me, it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady
really
is...
I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah.
That name.
Tom Brady is 41 years old. By the time the season starts, he'll be 42 years old. And to me, he's almost like a ticking time bomb. He has played excellent. He really has shown no reason for us to doubt him. Signs of regression. So he's probably an alien or something else. But to me, he's a ticking time bomb. To me, at 42 years old, if you get caught in a bad hit, it's going to be devastating for you and probably the end of his career. And so I think if I'm a Tom Brady fan, if I'm a Patriots fan, or if I'm a fan of Tom Brady retiring, I'm watching his mobility and what he's able to do in preseason. Now, we probably won't see a ton. He probably won't play any preseason games. But I think that's a big question. He's not the same quarterback he was. He's kind of changed who he was every year. And so it'll be really interesting to see what he does this year, if he really is the same quarterback or if finally Father Time catches up to him and he struggles. He got into a Twitter argument today, July 15th, about someone who said he should not be rated, I believe, 96 on Madden because he's slow. And then Tom Brady insisted he could beat him in a foot race. So that is where Tom Brady is at in his career. I don't know if that's a sign of an elite quarterback, but once again, he might prove me wrong for the 100th time.
So my initial reaction is, this sounds probably like anybody that likes to talk about players going into the beginning of the season for like the last 2 or 3 years talking about Tom Brady, how he doesn't look like the same quarterback. He's going to be old and washed up by the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then he just goes out and wins the Super Bowl. To me, that is so impressive, just as impressive as Roger Federer competing at Wimbledon, just like we were talking about a little bit ago.
Great connection, yeah.
So, and this is coming from someone that I was a hater of Tom Brady, purely only on the fact of I couldn't stand him winning all the time.
Yeah.
Which is, that's, if I'm a hater for that reason, then respect to Tom Brady. Like that's my own issues I got to get through. But he has turned me from a hater to just an admirer of just seeing him continue to have success. And I know a lot of people like to say that he wouldn't be the same quarterback without Bill Belichick and Bill Belichick's system.
Yep.
And like Bill Belichick is really the person that's running the show that should be given all the credit. And I think there's a little bit of an argument there to be given. But instead of getting into all that, when there's that much success that long by the same person and Tom Brady, you have to give that guy credit. He clearly does have some orchestrating in all of their championships, and from being just really irritated at him winning all the time, and kind of, he's got everything if you think about it. He's got looks, he's got money, he's got success, he's got championships, he's got the girl. Like, this guy is just killing it. If you don't have what he has, you're just so jealous of this guy, and I was definitely that person.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to take in his greatness and just kind of take in the moment. But I guess what you say, like, I mean, it has truth to it. There's reason for you and everyone else that, likes to be an analyst and talk about Tom Brady before the beginning of the season. Like, there's some truth behind what you're saying. Like, he is 42 years old, and your body is not supposed to do certain things when you get older, and taking big hits from defensive linemen is going to add up, I think, too.
Oh, so yeah.
If I had to put money on him being successful or fading out by the end of the league, I would put money on him being successful, because you can't bet on him to fail at this point, because he's just come back every year after year being successful.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I hope to see some sort of regression. He's more on social media now. He's posting workouts. He doesn't look like he's 42, to be quite honest. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. He even posted a video, I just saw it, of him running to prove that he deserves his speed rating for Madden. So he's at an interesting point in his life. It could be a midlife crisis, or maybe he'll just never stop playing football. Because I'm even looking at his stats now. In 2017, 4,577 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Then this past year, 4,355 yards, 29 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He basically had almost the same exact year, give or take. Like, that's incredible. Like, no one does that. No one has that consistency, especially at the ages of 40 and 41. So,
especially in football as well.
Yes.
Like, it's a beast of a sport physically on like, it takes a toll on your body.
Yeah.
It is incredible what he's been doing.
Yep. No, I agree. All right. Are you ready to reveal your third player?
Yep. So I've got my third player here. So my third player is another rookie, because of course I chose all 3 rookies. And funny enough, they all come from the same division on 3 different teams.
Oh, well.
My third player is DK Metcalf.
Okay.
A rookie drafted by the Seattle Seahawks as a wide receiver.
Yep.
This is someone that, for me, I didn't really know about till I saw kind of his viral just pictures of him, because of how massive he is and like shredded. Like, he's like standing next to his buddies that are probably also athletes.
Yeah.
They might have even been like college football players. I just don't know the context of the picture, but he just looks like he's their dad or something. Like, he's just that much bigger than them.
That's incredible.
So I think, again, he's another player I've read is kind of turning heads already at rookie camp. Let's see, Tyler Lockett said, I think he's way above what people from the outside probably expected him to be. The biggest thing that I like is the fact that he's being himself, he's playing his game, and he's using these tools and the things that has God-given talent to be able to be successful and get himself open. So already getting praise from a veteran wide receiver on the Seahawks.
That's a great compliment.
I just think he is a physical phenomenon that is going to have success right out of the gate, and I think he's going to show that in preseason as well as already showing it in the rookie camp, training camp.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's, incredible. It'll be really interesting to see what he does, and he has a great quarterback to start with. So I think that always helps too. Like, if you're just a talented wide receiver and you get a good quarterback your first year or first couple of years in the season in the league, it can really help your confidence and how you develop. So, I think he has a bright future. It'll be really, I'm excited. I feel like, he might be another Odell Beckham, or he just seems like someone who can go viral easily with just his incredible athletic ability.
To give you my track record from last year on rookies that I thought were going to have good seasons, I kind of saw Calvin Ridley last season that was going to have a breakout season, and he did end up having a couple monster games. So I don't know, we'll see if I can keep that track record up.
Yeah, well, we have the tapes to prove it now. So if you fail, then we'll make sure to let everyone know.
Sounds good.
My final one is, it's another shocker, and it might not make sense, but I have reasons, and my reasons make sense most of the time. My third player is Odell Beckham Jr., and you're probably saying, Nate, he has nothing to prove. Nate, he has
nothing to prove.
Nate, he is a very good wide receiver. Yes, I know that. I have eyeballs, and I can see that. But he is on a new team, in case you didn't know. He's on the Cleveland Browns this year. And to me, that is intriguing. That is fun. And I want to see what him and Baker Mayfield look like together on a football field, and to see if it can create the magic I think it has on paper. And the Browns have all of a sudden turned themselves into a little bit of a contender. And how incredible would it be for Odell Beckham Jr. to come to Cleveland and almost have a LeBron moment, just come to Cleveland, win a championship, and then he can leave. That to me is pretty incredible. Or even a Kawhi Leonard moment to make it a little more relevant. Just come for 1 season, 2 seasons, and then leave, giving the people of Cleveland a championship. One they've longed for a very long time. So he doesn't necessarily have something to prove, but I think he will turn some heads. I think he'll have some incredible plays, and I believe there's a real chemistry between him and Baker Mayfield that there was not these past couple years with Eli Manning. I believe several years ago there was that, especially when Odell first came into the league. But at this point in his career, these past 2 seasons, Eli Manning hasn't had his same stuff, and it's definitely hurt their chemistry as quarterback and wide receiver.
Yeah, I can agree with the Eli Manning statement for sure. I'll try and be respectful and just not say anything about Eli Manning.
Yeah. If you have a New York Giants fan in your life, please pray for them, because they are not going to be good for a very long time.
Well, however, they do have an absolute electric player in Saquon Barkley, who was another player that I thought was going to live up to the hype last year.
Yeah.
He did. I mean,
he's incredible, but he is one player on a overall pretty dull team.
Agreed, but he still had a stellar fantasy year, unfortunately for me, because I had to play against him every week, it felt like.
Yeah. No, he's incredible. He's a phenomenal player, but for the Giants, I don't think they drafted the quarterback they should have in the draft, and it'll be really interesting to see what these next 5 years look like for the Giants, unless they make some big trades.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you want to add before we head into, I think by the time we tape our next show, NFL training camp would have started. So anything you want to add before these training camps get started?
I think, so I'm a Texans fan, obviously, like I've mentioned in the past. I think I read today that the Texans will not be offering Clowney another contract, or like they're not planning on re-signing him or something like that.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is.
He's a key player to their defense, but I didn't read too much into it, so I don't have that much to say other than that had me shook.
Yeah, and it could just be they're not willing to re-sign before this season, so they're not willing to extend a contract. To me, he's been a very good NFL player. He's not the player people thought he was going to be out of college, but he's been a very solid defensive player for the Texans, and I don't think the Texans should regret drafting him or, re-signing him in any way. Maybe they just want to see what he can give them this year. Maybe he'll put on a fantastic year.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is it for this week's episode of Nate's Notes. Thank you for getting to the end of Nate's Notes. You've now listened to us talk for about 56 minutes. Congratulations. Thank you so much for listening once again. This was one of our main episodes where we cover a couple different topics, and then on Thursday we'll have our next episode, which is on one big topic. And if you're wondering, you're like, wow, I usually listen to the show and there's a lot of NBA talk. Don't you worry. We're talking all that's happened in free agency, or at least most of it, if not some of it, on Thursday's episode. We're covering all of NBA free agency, so make sure you stay tuned on Thursday. If you want to know as soon as it's released, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play Podcasts, or Spotify. And you can also like us on social media or follow us. Thank you so much again for listening. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you on Thursday.